Denmark's team cleared the rest efficiently. As we ended this node, another flared to life at the port, Kranis Alted Cargo, suspended. Workers trapped between structures. If the system locked down completely, it would create cascading failures. Karen's voice was tight. They're escalating infrastructure. Denmark responded. Then we cut them off at the core of each site. We moved through the port with speed and precision. Containers towered, casting deep shadows. The attackers were spread out, controlling multiple points. This was coordinated pressure. I stepped into the central lane, my black skin, red eyes, and horns visible. The first group engaged, coming at me. Not hesitating, I met them head-on, cutting through their formation, disarming one, redirecting another, driving a third into the ground without lethal force. The rest faltered. Karen and Denmark's teams closed in, securing positions, restoring control to the operators. The cranes resumed movement, slowly, safely. Crises avoided, but barely. We regrouped, only long enough to understand the pattern. They were not trying to win individual engagements. They were forcing us to divide, stretching our response, creating openings. Denmark checked incoming data. Then, where's the real target? Karen answered. The one we don't see. I listened deeper than before, pushing past the immediate noise. And there it was, a convergence, not in chaos, but in silence. A location untouched by the current wave, hidden beneath the distraction. Found it, I said. Old industrial power grid beneath the city, repurposed, abandoned on record, active in reality. Karen's expression hardened. Then that's where this ends. Denmark signaled. All units converge. Secondary sites hold position. We moved as one now. No more splitting. No more reacting. This was the source, or the closest thing to it. The entrance was concealed, but not enough. We breached without hesitation, descending into the structure below the city, where the air itself felt charged, not with electricity, but with intent. As we reached the central chamber, we saw it, not a single system, but a network larger than anything before. Multiple cores linked together, amplifying each other. And at its center, a figure, not frantic, not desperate, but calm, as if this outcome had been calculated. You've done well, the figure said. But this was always the end state. Karen stepped forward, shutting it down now. Denmark's team fanned out, securing the perimeter. I moved forward, my black skin, red eyes, and horns steady as I approached. You built this? I said. The figure smiled, not denying it, not boasting, just accepting. I completed it, he replied. What others started, I perfected. I did not wait. I moved instantly, crossing the space as I struck, removing him from the central control with a precise, controlled force that ended his ability to act without ending his life. But the system did not stop. It adapted, shifting control across its network, trying to maintain function. Karen moved to isolate segments. Denmark began coordinating shutdowns, but it was resisting, learning in real time. I stepped to the core, my black skin, red eyes, and horns reflected in every surface. Then we end this properly. Not by chasing it, but by breaking it at its foundation. I reached into the system, understanding its structure, its flow, its translation of intent into action. And I prepared to do what I had done before, but now at a scale that would decide everything. The system did not resist like the others. It adapted faster, shifting control nodes, rerouting influence across its network like a living organism. Refusing to lose a limb, Karen's hands moved across the nearest terminal, isolating one segment only for another to surge in its place. This thing is distributing itself, she said. Denmark barked orders into comms. Cut external lines. Isolate the chamber. No signals in or out. But even as he spoke, the system pushed harder, lights flickering, data streams accelerating as if it had anticipated containment. I stepped forward into the center of the chamber, my black skin, red eyes, and horns reflected across dozens of screens, each one carrying fragments of the same evolving logic. Then it learns from pressure, I said, which means we stop feeding it predictable responses. Karen glanced at me. Then what do you suggest? I looked at the network, not as a machine, but as a pattern. Then we overwhelm it with unpredictability. Denmark caught on immediately. Controlled chaos, break its expectations. Karen nodded. Then we hit multiple nodes at once, without pattern, without sequence. We moved together, not as a single line, but as shifting vectors. Karen targeting one cluster, Denmark's team another, and I moved through the center. My black skin, red eyes, and horns visible. As defenders emerged from deeper within the chamber, these were not like the others. They moved with precision and speed, enhanced by something beyond training, their reactions too fast, too synchronized. The first rushed me without hesitation. I met him head inches from his as I deflected his strike and drove him to the ground without lethal force. The second came from behind, adjusting mid-motion as if guided in real time. I pivoted, intercepting him, my black skin, red eyes, and horns tracking his movement as I broke his momentum and ended his attack. The third attempted to flank, coordinating with the system itself. I closed the distance before he could complete the motion, my black skin, red eyes, and horns cutting off his advance as I removed him from the fight. Karen's voice cut through the chaos. Node 1 isolated. Denmark responded. Node contained, but the system surged again, compensating faster than before, adapting to our unpredictability, learning even as we disrupted it. This is accelerating, Karen said. Denmark added, then we don't give it time to stabilize. I moved deeper into the chamber, toward the central core, my black skin, red eyes, and horns steady as more defenders emerged. Not in groups now, but in waves, each one more refined than the last. Their movements sharper, their coordination tighter. The first wave engaged. I moved through them, my black skin, red eyes, and horns marking each precise strike, disarming one, redirecting another, dropping a third without lethal force. The second wave followed immediately, not giving space, not allowing recovery. E.
Do you have any clue what I had to do to get here? I don't think you do, so stay tuned and keep your ears glued to the stereo, cause here we go. He's chicken, and I'm the sinister Mr. Kiss my it's just a renegade. Never been afraid to say what's on my mind at any given time of day, cause I'm a renegade. Never been afraid to talk about anything.
I met them with equal force, my black skin, red eyes, and horns cutting through their formation. I broke their momentum before it could build. It's consolidating, Karen said. Denmark's tone hardened. Then it's preparing for something bigger. A structure, unlike the others, not just hardware, but a convergence point. As I approached, it reacted directly to me. Lights intensified. Data streams spiked, as if recognizing the threat. You cannot stop what is already learned. A voice came through the chamber, not from a person, but the system itself. This was not consciousness. Not truly, but it was close enough to simulate intent, to respond. Then you have learned the wrong lesson, I said. I struck the core, not with brute force, but with precision. It's shedding parts of itself. Karen shouted. Denmark responded, then we force it to shed everything. I moved again, faster this time, cutting through the chamber as I targeted secondary nodes, breaking them before the system could reach. Karen isolated more segments, but becoming more concentrated, more dangerous in its core. This is it, Karen said. It's compressing into a final state, Denmark added. Then we end it before it stabilizes. I stood before the core again, as the system pulsed, with everything it had left. This was no longer a network. It was about to either collapse or evolve into something we could not contain. Then this ends now, I said. I reached into it, not physically, but through its structure, targeting the final connection between its learning and its ability to act, but spread beyond anything we could stop, compressing every fragment of its learning into a singular point. Karen shouted over the rising hum. It's stabilizing. Denmark's voice followed, sharp and urgent. Then we don't let it finish. I stepped forward into the surge. A violent flicker of collapsing systems. The air itself felt heavy, like pressure before a storm. The core reacted to my presence, streams of data lashing outward, not physical, but precise, targeting systems around us, attempting to regain control of anything it could reach. Karen fought it from the terminal, isolating pathways faster than they could reconnect, cutting off its ability to expand. But the core adapted, compressing further, pulling everything inward, refining itself. Karen's expression hardened. That thing is getting closer to real. Denmark added, then we end it before it crosses that line. I moved closer as the core shifted its defenses, no longer relying on scattered nodes, but projecting concentrated force through the environment. As the system attempted to create barriers using whatever it could control, a section of the floor collapsed between us and the core. But I did not stop. Their movements too precise, too synchronized, shaped by the core itself. The first lunged. I met it head-on, inches from its form as I deflected its strike and drove it into the ground. Old force, clearing the path to the core. Karen's voice cut through again. We're losing isolation. It's breaking through secondary systems. Denmark responded. Then we collapse the chamber if we have to. I reached the core, now close enough to feel its structure fully. It was no longer just adapting. It was predicting, learning from every move we made, anticipating patterns and countering them before they formed. Then we stopped giving it patterns, I said. I moved without rhythm, without sequence, striking the core at multiple points, not to destroy it outright, but to overload its ability to predict. Karen caught on immediately, adjusting her inputs randomly. Denmark's team followed suit, cutting power in irregular intervals. You are introducing chaos, it said, its voice distorting. Karen replied coldly, no, we're introducing freedom. I focused everything on the final connection, the link between its adaptive logic and its execution. As I reached into its structure and applied precise force, targeting that single connection, the core reacted violently, surging with energy, attempting one final adaptation, but without predictive alignment, it could not stabilize. Karen severed the remaining pathways. Denmark cut the final power.
The last external power feed, and I completed the break. The connection snapped, not explosively but definitively. The core went still, the hum ceased, the light faded, and the presence that had filled the chamber vanished completely. For a moment, there was nothing, just silence. Karen exhaled slowly. It's gone. Denmark scanned the room, confirming no residual activity, no signals, no systems left active. I stood there, fragments of the structure powered down. This was not like before. This was not a disruption or a delay. This was an ending of this version of the threat. But even as that realization settled, the ground beneath us trembled, not from the system, but from something deeper, something structural. Denmark looked around, alarmed. That's not the system. Karen checked her readings. Then what is it? I closed my eyes for a brief moment and felt it. Not influence, not control, but something far more familiar. Something I had not felt since I left my world. Something that did not belong here. They are here, I said quietly. Karen turned to me, confused. Who? Denmark's expression shifted as he saw my stance change. My black skin, red eyes and horns on my head rising slightly, as if responding to something unseen. The next phase had arrived, not as an idea, not as a system, but as something real, something alive. Something that had followed the signal we had just destroyed. The tremor deepened into a low, sustained vibration. That ran through the entire structure like a warning. Karen steadied herself against the console, eyes searching for a source that her instruments could not yet define. Denmark raised his weapon instinctively, scanning every angle, his voice sharp. What are we dealing with? I did not answer immediately because I did not need to search. I felt it, the way I once felt war before it arrived. The same oppressive certainty, the same overwhelming presence. Instinct took over. They followed the signal, I said quietly. Karen turned to me, confusion and concern mixing in her expression. Followed what signal? Denmark's voice dropped into something more focused, something dangerous. I stepped forward toward the center of the chamber, the air growing heavier with each second as if something immense was forcing its way into this world through space that was not meant to hold it. Then the ceiling above us ruptured, not from collapse, but from impact. Something massive tearing through layers of reinforced structure as if they were nothing. Light from above poured in, broken by a descending shape, too fast, too controlled to be debris. It landed with force that cracked the floor beneath it, dust and fragments erupting outward. When it stood, the truth was undeniable. A Saiyen warrior, tall, built like a weapon given life. Eyes scanning with cold calculation, a faint smirk forming as it looked at me. "So you survived another," said its voice, carrying with cruel familiarity. Karen froze for half a second, not from fear, but from trying to understand what she was seeing. Denmark did not hesitate, weapon raised, but I stepped forward, stopping him with a single motion. "That will not work," I said, fixed on the warrior. Karen's voice was low. "What is that?" I answered without looking away. "Death, if we do not stop it." The Saiyan moved first, not testing, not probing, but attacking with absolute confidence. It crossed the distance instantly, striking with force meant to end the fight before it began. I met it head-on. Our blows collided, the impact sending shockwaves through the chamber. The ground cracked beneath us, but I held my position, redirecting its strike and countering with controlled force, driving it back a single step. The Saiyan's smirk widened. "Good," it said as it launched forward again, faster this time, stronger, adapting to my resistance. I moved with it, tracking every motion as we exchanged blows, each strike precise, each movement calculated. This was not like fighting humans, not like stopping criminals. This was war compressed into seconds. Karen pulled Denmark back. "Get your team out of here now, they won't survive this." Denmark hesitated only a moment, before signaling withdrawal. "Perimeter lockdown. We contain this here." The Saiyan shifted tactics mid-fight, grabbing a piece of collapsed structure and hurling it toward Karen and Denmark. I reacted instantly, cutting across the space, intercepting the debris mid-flight and shattering it before it could reach them. "You will not touch them," I said, my voice carrying something deeper than before. The Saiyan laughed. "Then they are your weakness." It lunged again, targeting not me, but the path toward the exit. I intercepted, drove it back with a series of precise strikes, each one forcing it away from its objective. Karen and Denmark cleared the chamber, sealing access points behind them, leaving only us within the broken structure. The Saiyan rolled its shoulders, almost relaxed. "This planet is weaker than the last," it said. "You will fall quickly." I stepped forward. "Then you have learned nothing from the last." The fight escalated instantly. No hesitation, no restraint. It came at me with full force, and I met it with equal intensity, cutting through its attacks as I countered each movement with precision. Our strikes shattered what remained of the chamber, sending debris outward as the structure failed around us, but neither of us slowed. This was not a fight that allowed it. The Saiyan adapted again, increasing speed, pushing beyond its previous limits, forcing me to match it. Every movement, every strike, a test of endurance and will. It drove me back toward the edge of the chamber, then surged forward, aiming to end it with a single decisive blow. I did not retreat. I stepped into it, as I redirected the strike and countered with a focused impact. That sent it crashing through the remaining wall into the open air above the city. We followed instantly, bursting out of the structure, into the night sky, the city below unaware of the battle now unfolding above it. The Saiyan recovered mid-air, turning with a grin. "This is better," it said. "No limits." I hovered opposite it, head steady against the wind. "Then come and face them." We clashed again in the air above the city, each collision sending shockwaves outward, each exchange pushing the limits of their power.
This world could not withstand what was coming. As we fought, I felt it clearly. This was not the end. This was the beginning of something far greater. The Frieza Force had found this planet and sent their warriors. The sky above the city became a battlefield in seconds. A war this world was never meant to witness. The Saiyan did not hold back. It surged forward with savage precision, aiming to end me quickly, as if this were just another assignment, another planet to clear. I met it head-on, my black skin, red eyes, and horns blazing against the night as our fists collided again. The shockwave rippled outward, rattling windows below. The Saiyen twisted midair, adjusting its angle. It drove a knee toward my core. I intercepted it, tracking every motion. I redirected the strike and countered with a sharp blow that forced it backward through the air. It recovered instantly, grinning wider now. "This is what I was promised," it said, its voice filled with hunger. I did not respond with words, only movement. I closed the distance in a burst of speed, cutting through the space between us as I unleashed a controlled barrage, each strike precise, each one forcing it to defend rather than attack. The Saiyen adapted quickly, blocking, even countering in moments, our movements becoming faster, more violent as the battle escalated. Below, Karen and Denmark watched from the secured perimeter, unable to intervene but not looking away. Karen's voice came through the comms, strained but steady. "You're not alone up there," Denmark added. "We're tracking everything. Just hold it off." I heard them. But this was not a fight that could be held. This was a fight that had to be won. The Scion broke the exchange suddenly, diving toward the city, targeting the structures below. I reacted instantly, streaking after it, intercepting before it could reach the ground. I struck it mid-descent, redirecting its momentum upward again. "You will not bring this fight down there," I said. The Saiyan laughed even as it regained control. "Then, protect them," it replied, "if you can." It surged again, faster, stronger, its power increasing with every exchange. He felt it now, the same truth I had learned long ago. Scions grow stronger through battle, and this one was just beginning. I moved to end the escalation, cutting through its advance. As I delivered a focused strike aimed to break its momentum completely, the impact sent it crashing into the side of a distant building, concrete exploding outward. It tore through multiple floors before stopping, but even before the dust settled, it burst back out into the sky unharmed, its grin now something darker, more dangerous. "Yes," it said. "Now we begin." It raised its head toward the moonlight breaking through the clouds. For a moment, everything slowed. Because I knew what came next. "No," I said. But it was already too late. The Saiyan's body began to change. Muscles expanding, form distorting as it transformed into its great ape state. Towering, massive, its power multiplying instantly. The sky seemed smaller around it, its roar shaking the city below. Karen's voice cut through the comms. "What is happening?" Denmark answered grimly. "It's getting bigger." I rose to meet it, steady even as the scale of the fight shifted. This was no longer equal. This was overwhelming. The Saiyan in its giant form swung a massive arm toward me. I moved at full speed, barely avoiding the impact as the force of the strike displaced the air. I countered, striking its arm with everything I had, but the effect was minimal. Its durability increased along with its power. It roared again, swinging wildly now, less precise, but far more destructive. I moved constantly, darting through its attacks, striking where I could, but knowing this could not be won through direct force alone. Karen's voice came through, urgent. "Clark, how do we stop that?" I answered between movements. "We take away its control." Denmark understood immediately. "Then we bring it down before it destroys the city." The Scion slammed its fists downward, toward a cluster of buildings. I intercepted again, pushing against the force, diverting it away from the structures below. But the strain was immense. This form was designed for destruction, not precision. I could not hold it forever. Then I saw it. The weakness, the tail, the same as before, the same as always. I shifted tactics, cutting through the chaos as I moved toward its back, avoiding its massive swings. Closing in on the target, the Saiyan sensed it, reacting violently, thrashing to prevent me from reaching it. But I was faster now, more focused. I reached the tail, visible as I grabbed it with both hands, and applied force. The Saiyen roared in pain, its movements becoming erratic, uncontrolled. I tightened my grip, pulling with everything I had, and the transformation broke, the giant form collapsing back into its normal state as it fell through the air, stunned, disoriented. I did not give it time to recover. I moved instantly, closing the distance, as I struck it with a final controlled blow that sent it crashing into the ground below, creating a crater where it landed. The dust settled slowly, the city holding its breath. Karen and Denmark rushed toward the impact site, but I was already there, standing over the fallen Saiyan. Still alive, still dangerous, but defeated for now. It looked up at me through fading strength. "This changes nothing," it said. "More will come." I knew it was true. I could feel it even now. This was not an isolated attack. This was an arrival. I looked up at the sky, reflecting the distant stars, and understood that this battle was only the first of many, and the next would not give us time to prepare. The crater had not finished settling. When I felt it again, not one presence, but many, descending fast, cutting through the upper atmosphere with controlled velocity. Karen's voice broke through the coms, sharp and urgent. "We have multiple objects entering." Airspace fast. Denmark followed immediately. "They're not satellites. They're moving with intent." I looked up, fixed on the streaks of light tearing across the sky. Then they have arrived. Not as scouts, not as probes, but as a full-strike unit. The freezer force had escalated without hesitation. The fallen Saiyen at my feet laughed weakly through broken breath. "You think you stopped anything?" he said. That was only me. I did not respond. I stepped away from him, horns rising as the air itself began to shift from the incoming pressure. The first capsule hit miles away, the impact shaking the ground beneath us. The second followed. Then the third, each one precise, each one placed with intention. Karen's voice cut in again. "We're tracking at least 12 impact points across the city." Denmark's tone hardened. "That's not an invasion, that's a purge." I moved instantly, blurring as I launched into the sky toward the nearest impact site. The capsule had already opened. The Saiyen inside stepping out, calm, composed, scanning the environment like it had done this countless times before. It turned as I approached, a faint smirk forming. "Another survivor," it said. I did not wait. I struck first, closing the distance in a flash, driving a precise blow into its guard. It recovered quickly, countering with brutal force, our strikes colliding with enough power to fracture the ground beneath us. I pressed forward, relentless as I chained attacks together, forcing it into defense. But even as I engaged, I felt the others spreading across the city, each one beginning their own assault. Karen's voice came through. Strained. "We can't contain all of them," Denmark added. "Then we don't. We prioritize civilian zones. Evacuations in progress." I ended the exchange with a decisive strike, driving through its guard and sending it crashing into a collapsed structure. It rose again, slower this time, but still ready, still dangerous. I could not stay. I could not finish every fight. I launched away, leaving Denmark's units to contain it as best they could, moving to the next site, cutting across the skyline. The second Saiyen was already engaged, tearing through infrastructure, not for strategy, but for dominance. I intercepted mid-attack as I struck it away from a group of fleeing civilians. The impact sent it skidding across the street. It rose, laughing. "This world is weak," it said. "Then you will fall with it," I answered, and moved again, unleashing a rapid sequence of strikes, each one forcing it back, each one buying time for evacuation. Karen's voice echoed through chaos. "Routes are clearing. Keep them moving." Denmark coordinated units pulling people from danger zones. But the Saiyans were spreading faster than we could respond. 1 became 3. 3 became 6. And the city was turning into a battlefield. The sky itself filled with motion as more capsules burned through the atmosphere. I realized then, this was not meant to be contained. This was meant to overwhelm. "Then we changed the battlefield," I said aloud. Karen responded immediately. "What do you mean?" I answered as I rose higher above the city. "Steady. We draw them away." Denmark caught on. "You're pulling them off the city?" I did not wait, for confirmation. I surged upward, releasing a burst of energy that carried across the skyline. Not random, not chaotic, but deliberate. A signal, a challenge. The Saiyans felt it immediately. I could see them turning, their attention shifting from destruction to me. One by one, they launched upward, answering the call. Karen's voice carried both fear and understanding. "Clark, that's too many." Denmark added, "You won't survive that alone." I hovered above the city, my black skin, red eyes, and horns framed against the night as the Saiyans rose to meet me, forming a loose circle around my position. "Then I do not fight them alone," I said quietly. "I fight them away from everything else." They charged at once. No hesitation, no coordination needed, only instinct and desire for battle. I moved to meet them, horns cutting through the first wave. As I struck one aside, pivoted into another, deflecting a third, the sky erupted into motion, bodies colliding, force against force, speed against speed. Every second a decision, every movement a survival instinct amplified beyond anything this world had seen. Below, Karen and Denmark could only watch as the battle moved beyond their reach. The city momentarily spared, but not safe. Because if I failed, this fight would return to the ground, multiplied and unstoppable. I pushed harder, blazing as I fought through the swarm. Each strike calculated, each movement precise. But the numbers were against me, and they were growing stronger with every exchange, adapting, learning, just as they were designed to do. This was not a battle to win. This was a battle to endure until the moment came to change everything. And I could feel that moment approaching, like a storm just beyond the horizon. The sky became a storm of motion and violence as the Saiyan strike unit closed in from every direction. Not as individuals, but as a hunting pack, drawn to the strongest opponent among them. And that opponent was me. I did not have the luxury of hesitation. I moved instantly, cutting through the first wave as three of them attacked at once. One from above, one from below, one directly ahead. I twisted midair, intercepting the first strike, redirecting its force into the second while driving my fist into the third, sending it spiraling away through the clouds. But there was no pause, no reset. They came again, faster, more coordinated. Each exchange feeding their instinct, each clash making them stronger. Karen's voice came through the coms, strained but controlled. "We're tracking all of them. You've got 12 targets, converging." Denmark added, "We've cleared most civilians from the primary zones, but you can't keep that up forever." I did not respond with words, only action. I surged forward into the cluster, blazing as I struck one across the chest, pivoted into another, breaking its advance and drove a third downward toward the empty industrial district below, forcing the fight away from the populated core. But they adapted immediately. One grabbed me from behind, locking its arms around my frame. Another came in from the side, aiming to crush me between them. I reacted without hesitation, my head flaring as I forced my body downward, dragging both of them with me, and then reversed direction instantly, breaking their hold and slamming them into each other with enough force to disorient, but not eliminate. Because elimination was no longer the goal. Control was the goal. Time was the goal. Survival was the goal. One Saiyan broke from the formation, diving toward the city below, targeting the evacuation routes. I moved before it could reach them, head cutting across the sky, intercepting it mid. I struck it with a focused blow that redirected its trajectory, sending it crashing into an abandoned structure, far from civilians. It arose immediately, enraged and stronger than before. "Yes," it said, "this is the battle we were promised." More Saiyans joined the descent, shifting their focus again, trying to split my attention, trying to force me into failure. I responded with speed beyond restraint, head moving in rapid succession, striking one away, then another, forcing them back into the air, refusing to let the fight return to the ground. Karen's voice came through again. "Urgent, Clark, they're adapting too fast." Denmark added, "They're coordinating now, not just attacking Primera SW. It then the shift in their movement, the subtle alignment, the way they began to anticipate my counters. Not perfectly, but enough to close the gaps. This was no longer a chaotic assault. This was becoming strategy. Then we break their coordination, I said, and I changed everything. I stopped moving in patterns. I abandoned rhythm, abandoned expectation, edge shifting direction, unpredictably, striking from angles that made no sense, retreating when they expected advance, advancing when they expected retreat. The Saiyans hesitated for the first time, their coordination faltering as their predictions failed. I pressed the advantage, driving into their formation with controlled chaos, striking one across the jaw, spinning into another, driving it upward, and then dropping down onto a third, with enough force to send it crashing toward the ground far from any population center. Karen's voice carried a spark of hope. It's working. Denmark followed. Keep breaking them. Don't let them sink again. But the Saiyans were not finished. One of them roared louder than the rest, drawing their attention, pulling them back into alignment. And then it happened. One by one, they looked toward the moon, breaking through the clouds, and I knew what came next. No, I said. But the transformation had already begun, their bodies expanding, forms distorting as multiple Saiyans shifted into their great ape state at once, towering figures filling the sky, their power multiplying exponentially, their roars shaking the city below. This was no longer a battle. This was devastation waiting to happen. Karen's voice broke through, panic rising. What do we do? Denmark answered with brutal honesty. We survive. I rose higher, meeting them at their level, dwarfed by their massive forms, but unwavering. If they came down, the city would not stand. I could not fight them all like this. Not directly, not for long. Then I made the decision, the one that would decide everything. I would not divide them. I would not chase them. I would force them all to focus on me and only me. I surged forward into the center of their formation, blazing as I struck the nearest giant form with everything I had, drawing its attention, then another, until all of them turned toward me. Their rage unified, their focus absolute. Karen's voice cracked through the comms. Clark, what are you doing? Denmark's tone was grim. He's pulling all of them. I did not answer, because there was nothing to explain. This was the only path left. The giants moved together now, their attacks overlapping, their reach overwhelming the sky itself. I dodged one strike, then another, head moving faster than ever before. But even I could feel it. The strain, the limits approaching. This could not last. Something had to change. Something had to break, and as I pushed beyond what I had already given, I felt it deep within me. Something I had held back. Something I had not allowed myself to use since the fall of my world, beginning to surface. Because if I did not unleash it now, there would be nothing left to protect. The sky was no longer a battlefield. It was a breaking point. 12 towering Saiyen great apes filled the horizon, their massive forms blotting out the moon, their roars shaking the air with a force that threatened to tear the city apart below. Karen's voice strained through the comms. Clark, you cannot hold them all. Denmark followed immediately. Fall back. We'll regroup. We'll find another way. But there was no other way. Not with this many. Not with this level of destruction waiting to fall onto the world beneath us. I hovered in the center of their formation, my black skin, red eyes, and horns on my head, steady as their attention locked onto me completely. And in that moment, I stopped holding back. I stopped resisting what I had buried since the fall of FreRome. The pain, the loss, the rage, the memory of my family, the memory of my people, everything I had tried to leave behind surged forward. Not as chaos, but as power, controlled, focused, and absolute. It began to shift, not changing form, but intensifying. The red in my eyes burned brighter. My presence expanded, the air around me vibrating with energy. The Saiyans felt it immediately, their movements pausing for the first time, uncertainty breaking through their instinct. One roared louder than the rest and charged, swinging a massive arm toward me. I did not evade, I met it head-on, head blazing as I drove my fist upward into its strike. The impact stopped it completely, shock rippling through its massive form before it was thrown backward, crashing into another giant, sending both spiraling through the sky. The others reacted instantly, attacking together, but I moved faster than before, faster than I had ever moved. Cutting through their attacks, I struck one across the chest. Then another, then another. Their attacks grew more desperate, less controlled, as they tried to match the surge in power. I pressed forward, relentless, launching into the nearest giant form, striking its leg, until it collapsed backward, shrinking out of its great ape form as its control broke. I could not stop. This was the moment that decided everything, pulling the last civilians from potential impact areas. But even they knew the truth. If even one of these giants broke through, the city would not survive. I moved through them like a force they could not fully comprehend, blazing, then surged upward into a third, breaking its balance and forcing it back into its normal state. The sky cleared piece by piece as their massive forms fell away, replaced by smaller forms. 3 remained, still in their great ape state, still powerful, still focused, where even my speed was tested. I steadied myself than before. The pain was real, but it did not slow me. It sharpened me. I surged forward again, not to trade blows, but to end Italiano and force, breaking its control instantly as it collapsed back to normal form. The second reacted, swinging wildly, the impact shaking the sky itself. For a moment, we were locked in place, force against force, neither yielding. The sky fell silent, the massive forms gone. The immediate destruction stopped. But as I hovered there, still burning, I felt it again. Deeper this time, colder, more focused. Karen's voice came through cautiously. Is it over? This was not the end. This was the signal, the announcement that this planet had been found, the kind that settles in your bones and tells you the worst has not yet arrived. Karen's voice came through the comms, cautious but searching. Clark, we're reading no additional incoming signatures. Denmark added, the remaining Saiyans are down or contained. We did it! I hovered above the city, and horns still burning from the power, something far beyond the reach of their instruments. Then I said quietly, this was never the end. Karen coordinated citywide response, pulling emergency crews back into motion. And then it changed. Not with sound, but with presence. The air itself seemed to tighten, the stars above dimming slightly, as if something vast had stepped between this world and everything beyond it. Denmark's tone followed, low and controlled. We're picking up something now, but it's not moving like anything we've seen. As I faced the sky, he has come. There was no explosion, no dramatic entry, only a sudden shift in space. A figure white-skinned, smooth, and unnatural. His form a fusion of lizard, gecko. Lord Freezer had arrived. Denmark said nothing for once, because there was nothing to say. His expression calm, almost bored, he said, his voice carrying effortlessly across the distance. I rose to meet him. You have no claim here, I said. You have already delayed the inevitable. I did not wait, but Freezer did not move. Not until the last possible moment. Impressive, he said quietly, but insufficient. Immobate, then faster than anything I had faced before, striking me with a single blow that sent me crashing through the air, across the sky, and into the upper atmosphere, still burning, though the strain was clear. I returned to the sky above the city, facing Freezer. Again, he had not moved far. He had not needed to. You cannot protect this world from me. Asa eat simply. I answered by moving again, unleashing a barrage of strikes, faster, stronger than before, each one aimed with precision, each one carrying everything I had left. Freezer responded with ease, deflecting, redirecting, countering without effort, as if he were observing rather than fighting. He struck once more, and I felt it more than before. The difference in power, the gap that could not be closed through effort alone. I refused to fall. I surged, horns pushing beyond the limits I had already broken through, striking again and again, forcing him to acknowledge the fight, forcing him to respond with more than minimal effort. Below, Karen watched, unable to intervene, her voice breaking through the comms. Clark, you don't have to do this alone. Denmark added, we'll find a way. I knew they meant it, but this was not a fight they could join. This was not a fight this world could share. Freezer's expression shifted slightly. not impressed, not threatened, but aware. "You are stronger than the others," he said. Then he raised one hand casually, and the energy gathered there was unlike anything before. Concentrated, controlled, absolute. The air around it distorted, as if reality itself bent to his will. I felt it immediately. The truth of what he was about to do. He was not going to fight me. He was going to end everything below with a single action. Flared as I moved instantly, placing myself between him and the planet. "You will not touch this world," I said, my voice steady despite everything. Freezer smiled faintly. "Then, stop me." The space between us collapsed into inevitability as Lord Freezer's hand remained raised, holding enough power to erase everything below. Karen's voice shattered through the coms. "Clark, don't let him fire." Denmark followed immediately. "We'll evacuate as many as we can. Just hold him." I did not answer, because there was no holding this. There was only stopping it, or failing everything I had come to protect. I hovered there, my black skin red eyes, and horns blazing brighter than ever before, as every memory, every loss, surged through me as purpose. Freezer watched me calmly, as if observing a moment already decided. "You cannot protect what is beneath you." Sighed softly. "Your strength is already measured." I moved before the last word left his mouth, horns cutting through the distance faster than I had ever moved, striking directly at the energy forming in his hand. The impact detonated outward, a shockwave ripping through the upper atmosphere, as I forced the blast upward, away from the planet. But it did not disperse, it condensed further under his control. And Freezer did not even shift his stance. "You cannot redirect what I command," he said, and with a flick of his wrist, the energy surged again, larger, more concentrated, aimed directly past me toward the world below. I pushed harder, straining as I intercepted it again, driving it upward, but the force began to overwhelm even me. Karen's voice came through, breaking. "He's going to destroy everything." Denmark's tone followed. "Then we changed the equation. Clark, think." I did think, not in terms of strength, but in terms of truth. In terms of what I had learned, fighting systems, fighting warriors, fighting overwhelming odds. Strength alone was never enough. It was understanding that decided everything. Freezer believed this was simple power against resistance, but it was not. It was control against disruption. Then I changed the fight. I stopped meeting his power directly, and instead I moved around it, shifting unpredictably, breaking the line of control he had established, striking not at the energy, but at him, forcing him to adjust, forcing him to respond. The blast wavered for the first time, its path destabilizing as his focus split. Freeze's eyes narrowed slightly as I pressed the advantage, unleashing everything I had left in a relentless sequence of strikes, not to overpower him, but to disrupt his control. Each impact forcing micro-adjustments, each movement breaking the precision he relied on. The energy in his hand flickered, not weakening, but losing its perfect alignment. Karen's voice came through with realization. "Keep doing that. You're breaking his focus." Denmark added, "Don't give him a second to reset." I did not. Slow. I could not slow, moving beyond rhythm, beyond pattern, striking from angles that forced him to defend rather than execute. For the first time, Freezer moved fully, not casually, but with intention, deflecting my attacks, countering with strikes that carried devastating force. One connected, sending me crashing back through the air. Pain surged through me, but I did not fall. I surged forward again, refusing to yield, because now I understood I did not need to match his power. I needed to deny his control. Freeze's expression shifted, not to anger, but to something colder, more focused. "You adapt well," he said. "Then let us see how long you can maintain it." He raised his hand again, faster this time, more refined, the energy forming instantly, far greater than before. No delay, no build-up. This was the end state. I moved without hesitation, intercepting before the blast could fully stabilize, striking his arm, disrupting the release. The energy detonated prematurely, exploding outward in a massive wave that tore through the upper atmosphere, but missed the planet below. The shockwave threw us both apart, the sky itself seeming to fracture around the force. Below, Karen and Denmark could only watch as the light filled the horizon and then faded, leaving silence in its wake. I steadied myself, barely, my black skin, red eyes, and horns dimming slightly. Freezer hovered across from me, untouched, unharmed, but no longer indifferent. His gaze fixed on me with full attention now. "You have delayed the inevitable once more," he said. "But delay is not victory," I answered through steady breath. "It is enough." Freezer considered that for a moment, then lowered his hand. The energy gone, the immediate threat ended. Not through defeat, but through interruption. "This world," he said quietly, "will fall eventually, but not today." He turned slightly, as if the battle no longer required his presence. "Your defiance has earned it time, nothing more." And then, without warning, without spectacle, he vanished. The pressure in the air releasing instantly, the stars above returning to their natural light, the sky becoming what it had been before. A place of distance, not destruction. I remained there for a moment, steady as the reality settled. We had not won. We had survived. Karen's voice came through slowly, almost afraid to ask. "Clark, is it over?" Denmark followed. What happened? I looked down at the world below, at the city still standing, at the people still alive, and I answered with the only truth that mattered. For now, he left, but he will return. And when he does, this will not be enough. I descended back toward the city, my black skin, red eyes, and horns no longer burning, but still present, still a reminder of what had come, and what would come again. Karen met me at the perimeter, her expression a mix of relief and understanding. Denmark stood beside her, already thinking ahead, already preparing. "We held the line tonight," he said. "But next time, ... I nodded, because next time would not be the same. Next time would be war. And as I stood there, between them, between two worlds that had now become one fight, I understood my purpose more clearly than ever before. I was not here to escape my past. I was here to face it, to stop it from taking everything else. And when Lord Frieza returns, I will be ready, not just to delay, not just to survive, but to end it once and for all. Night Patrol.
Hey, you heard about the good news? Y'all sleeping on me, huh? Had a good snooze. Wake up, wake up. We about to get the paper. Money never made me do something, nah, can't make me. Even if the money low can't pay me, even if the money low can't play me.